Thanks for staying with us. Now, it appears the deadline for the president's promise to make Accra the cleanest city in Accra has been pushed further. In April 2017, President Akufo-Addo promised to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa by the end of his first term in office, a promise that many Ghanaians looked forward to. However, today, Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Abnadapa, at the Meet the Press series in Accra, said that promise of making Accra the cleanest city in Africa will be achieved by the end of a second tenure for President Akufo-Addo, a tenure that is not automatically guaranteed. Ernest Menu has more in the following report.
A study by the Water and Sanitation Program of the World Bank said poor sanitation cost Ghana $290 million annually. Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abnadapa says the trend must be reversed for good.
This amount is equivalent to $12 per person per year in Ghana, which translates to 1.6% of the national GDP. It makes a lot of economic sense to invest in sanitation. Every dollar invested in sanitation yields $5 dividends.
Meanwhile, all 259 metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies are expected to deploy sanitation officers across the country by July this year. That, according to the sanitation minister, is to ensure strict compliance with sanitation laws.
Our attitude and behavior are very important contributing factors in ensuring that our cities and major towns are kept clean at all times. Consequently, the ministry has decided to continue to facilitate the deployment of sanitation guards. This is ongoing by the MMDCs, and we hope that by July this year, all the MMDAs would have put their guards in place. We are to launch the one in Pong in a week's time. This is to strengthen the enforcement of the sanitation bylaws to maintain cleanliness in our cities, towns, and villages.
It appears the deadline for the president promise to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa has been pushed further. First, listen to President Akufo-Addo speak in April 2017.
The commitment I want to make is a commitment I want all of us to make. That within these 4 years, by the end of the 4 years of my term in office as president, Accra will be the cleanest city in Africa. That is where we want to get to. That is the commitment I'm making on your behalf and on all our behalves, that by the end of the 4 years of Akufo-Addo's presidency, Accra will be the cleanest city in the entire African continent.
Well, today, the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Abnadapa, said that promise will be achieved by the end of a second-term tenure for President Akufo-Addo.
Yes, inshallah, the president will go for 2 terms, and at the end, Accra would have been, and we are on course. God is in control, and the battle is still the Lord's. And to tell you that His Excellency, the President, is so serious with this call to all of us to make Accra the cleanest city and Ghana a clean country, that he has put the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources on the top priority list of government to be able to access all the budget that we need for this. That answers the budget. And the strategy is what we spelled out in some of our, some parts of the presentation. If you have ideas, we are welcome. We are welcome to your office. You are welcome to our office. It's a give and take. And if we succeed, it's kudos to all of us, and we will succeed. So please come on board and make Ghana a better place for all of us.
So when really will Accra become the cleanest city in Africa?
I said by the end of my term.
I'm Ernest Menu for Joy News.
Well, joining me via Skype to delve deeper into the discussion is Ibrahim Musa. He's a member of the Coalition of NGOs in Water and Sanitation, CONIWAS. Many thanks for your time, Mr. Musa. Now, the Sanitation Minister has changed the 2020 deadline to make Accra the cleanest on the continent. She says that promise will be achieved in the second tenure. What are your thoughts on this? Okay, Mr. Musa, if you can hear me, I was asking, you heard the president specifically state that by the end of his 4-year tenure, Accra will become the cleanest city on the African continent. Now, we had something different from the sanitation minister earlier today at her Meet the Press series. She says that it will be after the second term of the president. What do you make of this? Unfortunately, we can't hear Mr. Musa right now. We'll rectify that problem and bring him back to you. Now, there was heated disagreement between officials of the Accra Metropolitan National Disaster Management Organization and a plastics manufacturing company in the industrial area earlier today when personnel of the Disaster Management Organization moved in to inspect some flood-prone areas. The AMA NADMO accused the company of blocking some culverts in the area, resulting in flooding anytime there is a downpour. The Accra Metropolitan Director of NADMO, Henry Nilante Planche, says his outfit will not hesitate to crack the whip on other companies doing same.
Work my production simple. No way. No way. Because you have to give us a government body. Please help me. No one has helped now.
Tomorrow it will be you. And the only place you come is
happy. You just came here and with the media and all these things, and we don't know what is going on here. 2015, everybody is aware about what was happened. I can show you. I reported NADMO, AGA, industries, everywhere, whoever the government body, I knocked their door, please help me, but no one has come.
Oh, you have
Yes, with the documentation I can show you if you, yes, and I've been gone to the court that this has happened, what do I do? No one come and to help me on that time. My factory was shut down 3 months.
Yeah, see, the 30 minutes downpour that happened last Sunday night, you see, just 30 minutes. And if it should be 6 hours non-stop every downpour, you can imagine what will happen. This one is 1.5 meters. 1.5 meters from the ground. If it should go beyond 5-6 hours, you and I know what will happen to this company. They have no option, maybe time to break the wall. And if they break the wall, the water will pass through their yard. And it will also spark a different thing altogether. So they should allow the water to go. And the only way they will allow the water to go is to get us to do the right thing here. Ash foam absorbs the cost. And then that's all. The only way I can get them to understand what I'm doing is to get the media to mount pressure. Disaster manager, I prevent disaster. And you know, the only way you can best prevent disaster is to get the hazards off. If you see hazards and then you leave them the way they are, you know, eventually they will metamorphose themselves into disasters. And this is a hazard.
So how soon?
Well, the general manager of the company accused of blocking the culvert has denied the allegation, saying they rather had to find an innovative way of dealing with the floods.
We haven't blocked it. I'm very clear that is it reduced or not, we have to check the record. I'm not clear about that. that we have to check the previous record. What is there, what was the size before and what is the size now?
You were saying that the previous size was 0.9, you reduced it to 0.3.
Who told you that? Is any...
The NADMO said that.
Okay, then we have to check it that. We have to check the proof. We have to check the proof. Without any notice, if you come and ask me what is the 3 years back size and what is the current size, we will not know that. We have to check it.
But your colleague has
said
that you blocked.
We are here to find a solution. We are ready to cooperate with NADMO. We are ready to cooperate. But we have, at the same time, it should be protected ourselves also. We have to protect ourselves, of course. It shouldn't be like that to protect other company. We should suffer. NADMO should be impartial to all. They should support all people. It shouldn't be like that. All water let it comes to Kainam, and Kainam let it be flooded. And let we protect other company. It shouldn't be like that.
Okay. So because this place was getting flooded, you needed a solution for this. That's why.
Of course, we need a solution. Yeah. And government has to protect us. Yeah.
And no one has come.
So that's why you use the size of the car.
No, I told you size of the drainage. We have to check it. What was the last size and what is the current size? We have to check it. We have to find a solution. And NADMO has to give some suggestion. What is the way forward? How we can work jointly? How we can avoid such situation? Okay. It shouldn't be
also 400 people are all.
Now let's return to our earlier story where government has indicated that its deadline to make Accra the most cleanest city in Africa has been pushed further. Now on Skype to delve deeper into the discussion is Ibrahim Musa. Mr. Musa is a member of the Coalition of NGOs in Water and Sanitation, CONIWAS. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully the line is better now. Well, you may have heard the sanitation minister earlier today when she changed the 2020 deadline to make Accra the cleanest on the continent. She says that promise will be achieved in the president's second tenure. What do you make of this?
Thank you, Madam. I think that is not acceptable because everybody knows that the president is given first and foremost 4-year mandate. If that is going to be changed, then it has to be decided by the good people of Ghana come December 2020. Right. And so we are clear that the president made a policy statement and the minister, Honorable Abena Cecilia Dapa, has to deliver that policy statement. Let us trace our steps back. On 13th November 2017, when the president launched the National Sanitation Campaign under the theme, Every Day is a Sanitation Day, the president had 2 clear issues. One was to work around to change the attitude of Ghanaians, and the second was to use a 12-pronged policy measures to deal with sanitation issues in this country, starting with Accra as the cleanest city. Now, with the respect to the change in attitude, we all know that we are not doing better as a country, and everybody must support the ministry and the president to turn things around. With respect to the 12 policy areas, this is where the minister must focus his attention and make good the promise of the president. One, the president promised us that there was going to be a national sanitation fund. Where is the fund as we speak now? So we rather appeal to Honorable Cecilia Abena Dapa to launch the fund. The president also in that same policy statement mentioned that he was committed to seeing that the sanitation ministry established a national sanitation authority, which needed to be there to turn the fortunes of sanitation around. What are we seeing as we speak now? That National Sanitation Authority is not in place. The president also charged MMDAs 259 as we speak now to ensure that prosecution of bylaws is the order of the day. It will interest you, madam, and your good viewers and listeners to know that only few MMDAs as we speak now have established bylaws and have gazetted those bylaws. Now, the laws of Ghana are clear. If you do not gazette the bylaws, if you do not publish the bylaws, you cannot prosecute. So the MMDAs, most of them cannot prosecute because the bylaws have not been gazetted and they have not been made known to the public. So that's what we are struggling with. And the bigger issue is that from 2017, 2018, 2019, we are currently in 2019, the sanitation ministry is saddled with inadequacy of funds to prosecute the sanitation agenda. The president gave additional 200 million in 2018. That money was not assessed. So perhaps Honorable Abena Cecilia Dapa should come again and give the good people of Ghana some reassurances.
Right. I mean, there are those who argue that this particular pledge was overly ambitious and that it couldn't be achieved within the 3 years after the president had announced it. Do you think that it was overly ambitious and wasn't something that we honestly could have, achieved within 3 years to be on, the same scale as, for example, Kigali in Rwanda?
Madam, the issue is that even if one were to say that it's overly ambitious, are we not saying as Ghanaians that the president's promise of free HHS is overly ambitious? Are we not delivering free HHS to Ghanaians? Are parents not happy? So are we okay to say that our people should be dying of filth? Our people should be dying because they have no toilets in their homes? Our people should be dying because everywhere, every part of Ghana, the gutters are choked with filth and people die. So that is not a priority. We need to prioritize sanitation investment. That is the bottom line. And so wherever the president's vision will have to be actualized through accelerated investment in the sector, the money has to be found. It has to be a priority.
So you think that government is not committed to, providing funds towards cleaning up the city? That's your position?
Madam, I will charge you because you are a very good investigative journalist. I will tax you to go around to the waste management if you come to solid waste management. I'm even putting the basic sanitation, that's the toilet aside. Go and get the waste management companies and have interviews with them and ask how much they are being owed and what is troubling them from cutting the waste that has been generated in Accra and other cities like Tema, Takoradi, Kumasi, Tamale. What is preventing them from cutting the waste? Bottom line is that they are owed huge sums of money, and without capital, without the hard cash, they cannot move their equipment.
There are those who
of course, we need to.
Go ahead.
I was going to add that, of course, we also need to forge strategic partnership with the chiefs and opinion leaders in communities and ensure that the MMDAs have the teeth to bite. And by teeth to bite, I mean that the Act 936 of Local Government Act 2016, which empowers the RCC, Regional Coordinating Councils, to support the MMDAs to gazette and publish the bylaws, to do so as quickly as possible, so that recalcitrant citizens should be prosecuted as a matter of agency.
Now, you talk about recalcitrant citizens. Discipline is one of the problems, blamed for this situation, the filth situation in the cities. Do you think that government is not channeling enough resources or energies towards, changing people's, character in terms of discipline, in terms of filth, managing filth in the city?
Well, it's in two fronts. When it comes to discipline, let us first of all accept personal responsibility for indiscipline. So citizens, by our own upbringing, needs to be disciplined and ensure that you don't get up from your home and throw filth with careless abandon. Either you are in a vehicle or you are walking on the street, you don't throw filth anyhow, anywhere. So we need to be disciplined. But secondly, waste management agencies and first line being the MMDAs need to also spend money to improve on public education of citizenry on the need, to ensure what are the bylaws on waste disposal and all those things. Plus the equipment must be made available so that citizens can be able to dump waste. And then the waste management companies can be resourced to move the waste from the point of disposal to wherever they want to transform the waste into reusable materials so that we can be able to turn waste to resources. All this requires heavy investment, and this is where government partnership with the private sector is an issue that looking.
Thank you so much. That is Ibrahim Musa, and he's a member of the Community Water and Sanitation. Of course, we've been asking you what you make of the latest comment by the Sanitation Minister pushing back the pledge by some few years. And let's go to our Facebook page and see what you've been saying on that. Okay, so We have Willie Emisa saying, please don't change your promises. Please, we need it now. Clean it now, because 2024 we're going to vote you out of power. Kwame Hyson says this woman has no plans to tackle the sanitation woes of the country and needs to be replaced with an innovative one. I was listening to her on Asempa FM. All her answers to the questions were rhetorical. Honorable Catherine Afeku should occupy that space and we shall see the difference. Okay. Clifford says, you guys will be in opposition by then. Nana Felix also writes, my Ghana was started in 2 years ago, please. Okay, don't quite get that. But Joe Best Tagboto says, this ministry must be scrapped to save our money. And Asansu writes, what I realized in Ghana politics is that if the appointees of a certain government are failing to his or her core mandate, what he or she uses to convince the president and Ghanaians is talking. They will use cheap talk as a yardstick to convince the president to escape sacking. As far as you can talk to defend yourself, your position as minister is intact. Interesting analysis there. Abdullah Saeed says, hey, this minister, you are still talking. May Allah forgive you. And Ken Abu says, any competent leader can do this in a year. Nana Kofi Kumsin writes, multimedia. We all listened and nowhere she said that. Please do report exactly what someone says and don't add or deduct anything. I'm sure, Nana Kofi Kumsin, that you heard what the minister said. We played it back so everybody can make their own conclusions. And Derek Awansi says, this woman is not effective. She's just some ceremonial minister. Even when she was an MP at Bantama, it was the same thing. Can't really verify that, but thank you all so much for your comments there. Moving on, Special Representative of the Secretary General for West Africa and the Sahel, Mohammed Ibn Chambers, has called on the two major political parties in Ghana to emulate the example of the Chief Imam by exhibiting tolerance for divergent opinions. Sheikh Usman Nuhu Shaributu has been widely commended by sections of the society after he visited the Christ the King Church during the Easter festivities to foster interfaith unity. Speaking at a special lecture organized for the National Chief Imam, who turns 100 years old today in Accra, Dr. Ibn Chambers described him as a champion of religious tolerance, a born leader, and a unifier whose actions has prevented a full-blown conflict in the country.
Through the Dr. Sheikh Usman Nuhu Shaributu Foundation Trust Fund, he is revered for his philanthropic work, which is making a contribution to uplifting the needy and the most vulnerable in our society. As a scholar himself, he has always believed in the value of education for the upliftment of individuals and their societies. His Eminence has consistently preached for the Muslim community to embrace education by enrolling all children, but especially the girl child, in schools. There's hardly an utbah, a sermon, that our Imam will preach without stressing the importance of seeking knowledge, pursuing education to its highest levels. As a member of the National Peace Council, he has contributed to the development of an institution and a peace architecture which has been instrumental for resolving conflicts and sustaining peace in Ghana, and which model is indeed now being copied across our region and beyond. If His Eminence has lived to be 100 years, one of his cardinal virtues that has carried him this far has been his discipline. Our father is a disciplined person and a disciplinarian.
On his part, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, called on Ghanaians to emulate the exemplary life of the National Chief Imam by staying away from radical extremism.
As a religious leader, Sheikh Usman Nuhu Shaributu has been at the forefront of championing inclusiveness amongst the various Islamic sects. He has also promoted interfaith dialogue between Muslims and Christians, which has ensured a peaceful coexistence between the two leading religions in Ghana. At a time, the world is experiencing religious intolerance, leading to the unfortunate killings of innocent people by extremists who cannot tolerate the religious views of others. Ghana is enjoying a great collaboration between the two leading religions in our country. As we heard, and we've been hearing the last few days, a few days ago, the National Chief Imam paid a remarkable visit to the Catholic Church in Accra. And a day after this historic visit, a group of Christians also paid the Chief Imam a visit at his home. These were beautiful scenes and moments of pride for every Ghanaian. As I listened to the BBC's report on the National Chief Imam's visit to the Catholic Church, I felt very proud as a Ghanaian for the positive views Ghana attracted on the international stage following the exemplary visit by the National Chief Imam. Our colleagues from other countries are often astounded by the level of religious tolerance in Ghana. Our answer to them is simple. We have a National Chief Imam who is extremely knowledgeable, but also humble and a champion of interfaith dialogue and peace. We also tell them we have Christian leaders like Archbishop Charles Palmer Buckle, who are receptive to the National Chief Imam's gesture of respect to the Christian community. The fact that the chairman for today's occasion is a leading member of the Christian community is enough testament of the level of cooperation and mutual respect between the leadership of Muslims and Christians in Ghana.
You're still watching Joy News Prime with me, Arba Kumson. We're taking a breather, but business is up next. And in business, economist Peter Quartey calls on Bank of Ghana to streamline activities of black marketers to help check the cedi's depreciation.
Was exchanging for officially was 2.75, but if you go to the black market, it's about 90. That incentive for the black market to operate is there. How do we address?
Sandra Afenu comes up with details after this break. You're welcome back. Now, the opposition NDC is demanding an immediate overhaul of the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining as they accuse the government of endorsing Galamsey. The party has also been giving a verdict on the government's fight against Galamsey so far. This comes days after Senior Minister Yao Osafo-Maafo justified government's decision to discontinue the prosecution of Chinese Galamsey kingpin and Wang, popularly known as Aisha Wang, at a town hall meeting outside the country. The NDC says the justification by Mr. Osafo-Maafo was embarrassing.
The platform and the context within which the senior minister spoke clearly shows that he was speaking the mind of President Akufo-Addo and his government relative to the discontinuance of the criminal trial of Aisha Wang. It can be reasonably deduced from the senior minister's comment that at the center of Ghana's bilateral trade relations with China is an obscene willingness on the part of the Akufo-Addo government to condone plain criminality and the flagrant disregard of our laws. Ghanaians have every reason to be appalled and outraged by the honest revelations of Mr. Osafo-Maafo, which reflects the inner thinking of the Akufo-Addo government. These revelations we submit are disgraceful, reprehensible, and make a mockery of the foreign policy and the much-touted Ghana beyond aid mantra of the Akufo-Addo government.
Well, Communications Director of the party, Sami Jemfi, tells Joy News government cannot continue expending taxpayers' funds on members of the committee who are compromised, as exposed by investigative journalist Anas Anas.
Government must overhaul the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, because clearly the evidence shows that that committee is now an active vehicle which is promoting and facilitating the illegal menace. And we cannot continue to expend the scarce resources of state on such a venture. Already, millions of taxpayers' money have been spent on this committee. And yet, the reality on the ground shows that our environment is being depleted even more now. Water bodies, forest reserves are being destroyed. And these people who we entrusted the responsibility of dealing with this canker of illegal mining have rather turned around through corrupt means to line their pockets, and to undermine the very fight they were supposed to champion. And so it is untenable for us to continue to spend the scarce resources of state on such a venture. Government must immediately overhaul the committee and review the approach they have so far, taken in this fight. But not just that, we have also made the point that President Akufo-Addo must rise above his sweet but hollow rhetorics and must begin to walk the talk now. Enough of the sweet soundbites. We must begin to show genuine political commitment on his part, that indeed he means it when he says that he will not countenance, galamsey.
Now, with less than 24 hours for the official launch of the much talked about medical drone service in Ghana, patients and medical doctors who have experienced the service are appealing to government to expand the service to areas that grapple with access to emergency supplies. Joy News' Matilda Vemega put the spotlight on the Tafo Government Hospital, which is the first of 2,000 facilities to benefit from the service nationwide.
Charles Kofi is the first person at the Tafo Government Hospital to have received emergency blood supply through the drone technology. Doctors operating on him on Monday had to call in for an emergency blood supply from the Zipline Center when they ran out of stock during surgery.
This service has really helped me. I am sure it will save a lot of lives out there.
So on to Woodia. And we did a baby, I say, a who here, but so or two and who say near Omokan and Cray or say Ubua.
If you haven't experienced what I went through yesterday, you would easily criticize government for this intervention. It can do a lot of good to the people out there.
But for the timely intervention of the drone supply, anything could have happened to Charles.
All the force, they done the operation and they come out. But he alone is there. So I was worried. You understand me? Yeah. But we did that short time way, as saw say this thing, that blind band bring the blood before they took it and then go and operate my brother. Before my brother is alive right now. I thank God. But this one, it can help me and you. If it hasn't happened on you, you don't know say it's good. But if it's happy on you, say this thing is a very nice thing.
The Tafo Government Hospital took delivery of its first emergency blood on Monday during Charles's surgery. On Tuesday, they took delivery of vaccines for the immunization of children in the area. This is the first of 500 government hospitals within the Omenako-Suhum area in the eastern region to have benefited from the much talked about medical drone service.
It's good because if you go to the villages and we need a vaccine, I think it's faster than motor or car or anything. Yeah.
Medical professionals here tell me they get regular supplies from the regional medical stores in Kufuridua, but usually it takes 3 to 4 hours to get supplies when they request. Flying a drone from the Omenako base in Suhum takes 30 minutes round trip. Director of Clinical at the Tafo Government Hospital, Dr. Eric Ansuobin, says the drone intervention will reduce needless deaths recorded due to the shortage of essential blood and medicines.
In our part of Ghana, we regularly get drug stockouts, and also it's difficult getting some blood groups when you need it and how you need it. Yesterday, for instance, I used this service. There was a patient in theater who was hemolyzing. We needed FFPs, fresh frozen plasma. Our labs can't offer it, but when we called the service, they were able to deliver in good time, and that patient is doing well now.
When you say typically, how long would it have taken the hospital to get such supply from the medical store?
It would have taken over a day, because we would have to make the request from Koforidia, send a car. You have to make sure they have it or not. They also do get stockouts. So even the probability that you will get it or not is not guaranteed.
The 4-year contract with Zipline, the company implementing the project, stipulates that the drone medical delivery service will make on-demand emergency deliveries of life-saving medications to over 2,000 health facilities across the country. Justin Hamilton is the head of global communication at Zipline.
We'll be rolling out all 4 bases over the course of the year. Ultimately, we'll be serving over 2,000 clinics and up to 12 million people in Ghana.
Okay. This is the first of 4 drone centers that will be established here in Ghana. At the Omenako Center here in Suhum in the eastern region. This facility is expected to supply emergency medical supplies to over 500 health facilities within the eastern region. We are told that in the coming days, 3 facilities would also be put up. One will be in the eastern region, another in the Ashanti, and then the northern region. For Joy News, Matilda Pomaga, Omenako, Suhum, eastern region.
Now, the minority in Parliament is pushing for the House to summon Ghana Education Service officials over the new educational reforms. Some educationists and policy analysts have raised concerns. The new syllabus has been skewed to place a lot more historical emphasis on J.B. Dankwa to the disadvantage of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The National Committee on Educational Curriculum denies the claim and says it will be consulting further on the issue. But Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee, Dr. Clement Park, says the explanation is not good enough and the House must question the Ghana Education Service over the issue.
Yes, we have a responsibility, and as I said earlier, it is not about what Dr. Park wants. It is about what the Ghanaian people want. And since we represent them, and once they have identified what they clearly see as something very worrisome and problematic, we have a responsibility to request those who designed the syllabus to come and explain and justify why that is the case. Perhaps if we hear them, that could help address the concerns that Ghanaians and the rest of us have. I'll confer with my ranking member, and we will bring this to the attention of the chair of the committee. It is our role as members of Parliament to take up matters that bother the good people of this country. So it is not just about my own personal reservations, but it is also because Ghanaians have a problem with what has come to their attention within the context of the attempt to tilt and give more weight and recognition to J.B. Dankwa compared to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Meanwhile, the minority is also seeking to get Parliament to probe how the NHIS monies were locked up with investment firm All Time Capital. The company now says it will have to hold on to the 70 million cedis for another year before it can release it. The NHIS has justified the investment, but Deputy Ranking on the Health Committee of Parliament, Dr. Robert Kwanleb, says the investment is a bad idea.
You are offering a service to people. You owe a lot of service provided. And then you take this money and you are investing. It is not your money because you owe people. Pay them so that the service providers can invest the money because they are into a business of providing healthcare services. Your duty is to pay them so that they will use to buy logistics to support the services that they are providing. Now you owe them 8 months, 12 months, and you are using that money to invest. To invest for what purpose? You are not a profit-making organization. It's Ghana government money, and you cannot use that money to invest. Something has gone wrong somewhere, and people must be brought to book. You cannot invest Ghana government money. You cannot do that. You don't even have any moral right to do that, because that money is not your money. You owe people. You have provided services to Ghanaians. What are you doing to the hospitals? What are you doing to the service providers? You are killing them. Now that we know that some investments have gone wrong, we will call them to come and account for that money. Now that we know that some investments have gone wrong, they have to come.
Now, some family members of the 3 missing Takoradi girls have vowed to stage a demonstration against the CID boss, COP Mameya Tiwa Adodankwa, on May 1 if the girls are not returned. This comes 21 days of assurance from the Criminal Investigations Department that they know the whereabouts of the 3 kidnapped Takoradi girls. Before we get to the family, let's listen to the Director General of the CID, COP Mameya Tiwa Adodankwa, when she addressed the media 3 weeks ago.
Together with the BNI, we've worked very well, and currently we know where the girls are. I am unable to give the details because we don't want to compromise their safety. We are working hard together with other stakeholders so that these girls are brought back home safely. The assurance to the family is that they should keep on keeping on. The ladies, we know where they are and they are safe. So very soon, they will be brought back home and they will go back to their family.
Well, Joy News' Western Regional Correspondent Inathalia Kwanzaa has been interacting with some of the family members of the missing girls. Watch.
So today marks exactly 3 weeks when COP Mameya Tiwa Adodankwa announced that the 3 Takoradi kidnapped girls are safe and the police force know where they are. It's been 3 weeks. According to family, they've not heard anything, they've not seen anything. Today here on Joy News, we are here to interact with the families to find out how they are coping with the situation.
It's very disheartening. Today is exactly 3 weeks when we heard this. Initially, we were all excited. We talked to some experts. What they were saying is it could be that they found the girls, but because of their condition, they want to treat them medically. So if it is true that they know where the girls are, the best thing they could have done is invite the family. Let the family, some of the family members, talk to the guests. Wherever the condition they are, they will be revived. But all these things have not been done. 3 weeks now, we have not hearing anything from them. So what we intend doing, on the 30th of this month, that is 30th April, we are going to launch Madam CID Boss. Hashtag Madam CID Boss. We want to see our guests. Then 1st May, if there's no peace in secondary Takoradi Metropolis, May Day, what are workers going to do? A lot of workers here, they find it difficult even to go to work and leave their daughters or children at home. So 1st May, we are all marching to the grounds. As the regional minister, he also confirmed that they know where the guests are.
At the press conference in Yenuaji,
we were happy after the comments made by the CID boss on the whereabouts of our missing girls. But till now, nothing has been done. We are still in doubt and very confused. I sometimes call the Takoradi CID and he keeps assuring me the girls will be found. Mami Adjoa, we are still waiting and praying for you. We are hopeful that you will return safely. We pray for God's protection and guidance upon your life. And we know you will come back to us soon.
Thank you for watching. My name is Araba Kums, and this is where we wrap up on Joy News Prime. Join us same time tomorrow. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. Good night.